On as well, the Big Ten is going to resume on October 24th, and the Pac-12 is going to make their decision on Thursday to return to play before January 1st of 2020, so the new year. Brandon, your thoughts on the Big Ten playing and the Pac-12 making a decision to play? Do you think it's a good idea for the Pac-12 to make this decision at this moment? Or is there more pressure to make this decision instead of actually looking at all the facts and maybe it not being the best idea? What are your thoughts on it?
I think there's just a lot of pressure right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, honestly, I was talking to Connor about this, and I said, this is the first time in my entire time as a fan of football that I don't really care. You know, I don't really care about college football. I don't care about. I mean, I would watch it if Pac-12 came back, but like, it doesn't have that feel to me.
Yeah, sorry, I just hit my table there. But no, yeah, I feel the same way. This has been something that I've constantly said that this doesn't feel like a normal college football season. We don't even know if we're going to have the college football playoff or how that's even going to work. Like, are we really interested in watching three SEC teams again in the playoff? I don't think so. I don't think from a ratings perspective, people will be that interested in that. I don't see how this season makes any sense still because most of the teams are playing, most of the top level teams, such as Oklahoma, are playing, lower tier programs. And and Brandon, you pointed this out in the past as well. It's kind of created some overreaction to how well these teams are playing, how well these quarterbacks are playing when they're not really playing the most incredible talent. Clemson's not playing a team like Alabama. I think they're playing the Citadel this week. So can you actually speak on that piece a little bit more, how it sort of seems like this constant overreaction to these games?
Yeah. It's like when you have. I'm just tired of teams like Clemson being allowed to play like Citadel or something like that, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's such a hard game." It's like, no, you're playing the Citadel. Like, just say how it is. Say that they're gonna destroy them. Say that it's gonna be a boring game to watch. Don't act like sports fans are some idiots who can't, tell what's gonna happen.
And this was something that actually you brought up as they played Wake Forest last week. Shane, your thoughts on the overreaction across the country to some of these matchups?
Well, I think when people look at this season and how, let's be honest, how lackluster it is, people see a matchup, any matchup, and they're like, oh, it's Clemson. Who cares about the other team? It's Clemson. And honestly, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Brandon said about college football as a whole, because I don't really, as you know, I've been at kind of a weird place with college football in the last couple of years, just because I feel like every year it's just Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, maybe Georgia, and a couple other SEC schools.
LSU.
Yeah, that just dominate every year. It's just the same thing. It's all about these like 4 or 5 teams, and that's not really interesting to me as a viewer. I want to see all sorts of teams getting up there. So, honestly, I'm kind of with college football. I'm kind of over it until they make some changes, if that'll ever even happen. For instance, limiting the amount of money teams are allowed to spend on recruiting,
Or how many recruits they even get.
Well, yeah, so that it's
Top level recruits.
almost like a salary cap for college. Just so that different teams, different teams can get better instead of just one
Dominant team.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of other things, but that's I don't know. That just bothers me, and I mean I'm sure
Yeah.
that's gonna continue. So
Yeah.
oh well.
I mean, look, when you're talking about recruiting in specific, obviously, it's mostly about the particular athlete picking that particular school, and where they're actually going to school for education purposes and stuff. So that's where it becomes complicated. But how you would do that with recruiting is a star system. How many 5 stars can you get? How many 4? How many 3? How many 2? How many 1?
Yeah, sure.
It is impractical from the educational perspective, which is why it's not in place and why it probably will never be in place. But the general point is that because of the root of it is recruiting. It's the idea that there's just not a lot. These guys just continuously going to these top programs, and unfortunately, it does hurt some of these athletes who are top level recruits, and then eventually they lose favor, and then the transfer market becomes sort of a free agency, and we've seen that the last couple of years, especially at the quarterback position. So it does create a whirlwind of unforeseen issues as well, especially over the last couple of years.
I mean, I don't really see the issue with people transferring though, because
well, I'm not saying that it's an issue, but it is interesting when you're talking about recruiting, right? In the sense that a team like Oklahoma signs, I don't know, two 5-star recruits in back-to-back years, and then one of those recruits says, you promised me I'll play, I'm going to leave and go to, Missouri or something. I'm just making an example, but it's sort of at the root of the recruiting. It's this idea that you just keep getting guys, sometimes regardless of position, and then eventually the transfer market becomes sort of like a free agency type. Not saying that it's bad for the game. You can make an argument it is very good for the game, but at the end of the day, it is an issue from the perspective of just not every student stays all 4 years because these colleges just keep getting these top recruits over and over, and guys kind of get passed over, if that makes sense.